Hello Marvel Heroes fans, my name is Wilfred and welcome to my channel. If you like this sort of guides, do check out the link at the description of the video. There are more guides like this for you to watch. Now for those who are celebrating the Lunar New Year, Happy Chinese New Year for you. 恭喜發財, 恭喜發財, depending on which dialect you speak. A lot of my friends are visiting relatives and going out and so on and so forth. Today, I spent quite a lot of time in this game trying to understand Invisible Woman, Sue Storm, one of the Fantastic Four. Some of you have requested me to take a look. I can understand why you're asking me, because it's actually quite hard to find a build that could be comfortable to play, put it this way. Now, Sue Storm is one of the Fantastic Four. If you've been following my channel for quite some time, I had a build for her, and that build is very much leverage on her invisible kind of ability. Now, because she's an invisible woman, I can't really think of playing her anything else. However, there are other options as well. So if in the event whereby you don't like any of these build options I have, I will share with you the mathematics behind as well, and also just talk you through what are some of the powers that you could pick as well. Some of the power that maybe it works better for you. But for me, the design of the Invisible Woman is a little bit strange because of the 5 talents, I can only use 3 of them. The other 2 just doesn't work at all. So in some sense, talents and trade supposed to give us more build variety, but in some sense, actually, it may not be the case. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. Now, she's a very kind of like a team player, so I'm also giving you some opportunity to think about what other power you can use in a group environment. So the next part of it is onto the power and talents and traits. Onto her power, there are 2 themes to it. One is dynamic force, the other one is invisibility. So I think in some sense, dynamic force, she thinks that she can conjure to do damage, while invisibility is more to manage her invisible and conceal and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go through the power one by one. I'm going to verbalize some of this, like what is better than the other one. You could stay on till the end to see all the numbers behind it if you want to take a look yourself, how different it is from one to the other. She is archetype-wise, she's a durability and energy hero. Very important to remember this is that she actually gained a buff to enemy not targeting her, so 20%. You could, what it means is that when you're doing solo, you probably be encouraged to use an invisible build, which is what I have here. Because otherwise, if the mob keep being aware of where you are, while you kite around, you lose 20% flat against them. In a group environment, you may be able to get around without the whole invisibility mechanism and use some other things. I don't believe it's a lot better, but in some sense, then when the mobs are not targeting you, then you gain this buff. So just be aware when you play Invisible Woman, don't lose too many of these numbers here and there, because you have to make up for it as you lose some of these numbers. All right, she's a defense deflect hero. That's all to say. Basic power, force disc, not going to talk too much about it. The DPS is really low, but it's a basic power. You may use it for leveling. If you do not use this one, what else can you use? You could use the cascading force as well. If you are not playing the invisible build, very likely you will use this one as your main spender. Somehow the tooltip does not mention the attack speed buff, because attack speed in this game usually buff the spender. So any channel power like the Iceman, there's a channel beam and so on, ice beam and so on. Any power that you channel as a spender usually are buffed by the attack speed. But in this case, it doesn't. I don't know why. Then you can use a bouncing disc. It's very attractive. A lot of people like it because of the visual effect and so on. You could use the talent to add another 20% damage to it and make it like without spirit. It is still not that great in terms of DPS compared to, I think compared to like Crushing Wave style, which I'll talk a little bit about later. It's actually rather low. It's like half of what this guy is doing. So it's up to you. If you like to just casually leveling without the worry of spirit, but still hit similar to a basic power, then yes, the bouncing disc is an option. But that talent is not going to make it awesome. as the end game option. Yeah. If you don't like any of this spender, you could use the crushing force as a spender as well. Bear in mind that in order to make that work, you have to use the storm of spear or the force pillar to gain a 40% to make it worthwhile, and also enemy in the middle will get hit harder. There are also options out there in the talent to augment this, become a cooldown power, then you'll lose it as the spender option. The choice is yours. Now, if you are playing the invisible build, very likely you would be doing things like the resonating wave instead of the Seeker's Orbs. Now, Seeker Orbs regenerate spirit same as the resonating wave. I personally don't think you should pick both of them, so you have to make one as your decision. In order to make Seeker Orb work, you have to invest talent to it to change the cooldown from 8 seconds into 6 seconds, and also give you extra charge as the burst damage, so you can burst 4 of them against your target, and reasonable amount of time to regenerate. It will not change the sustained damage point of view. You still only have 1 charge per 6 seconds, but it will give you a nice burst damage if Seeker Orb is what you want. The only thing that I don't like about Seeker Orb in my build is that because I'm building around invisibility, and they become sharing the same charge for the talent that I've chosen. So I do not want to sacrifice invisible opportunity versus having an extra orbs here and there. But the choice is yours. I would say if you are not going for invisible build, then you would probably want to pick a Seeker Orbs together with your cascading force and some other things that I'll show you in just a bit. All right. So, but for my build though, it is not something I would use. Then you could use the Crusher. Hang on, this is a Crusher. Crusher is like this guy here that you can, all the balls there. I like this one for my solo because DPS wise is alright. It's a nice layer, by the way. It's not terrible. It has a very high damage on that short duration of time. It becomes very useful when there's a group of like elite mobs. Sometimes you may want to just crush them all. It does impale as well. But there are other options as well to augment it. You can augment it using the you can become the orb yourself, like the Crusher yourself. But it's a very high DPS during the period of channeling. But it become you can't do anything else, so you lose DPS some other way, in some sense, and also you can only reduce damage by 50%. In a way, you get a lot of things that hit onto you. You cannot dash. This I think it's just for fun during leveling, or you can do it like a steamroll. Steamroll is a very high DPS as well. It go like that, and then it will come back to you. All right, so it's rather interesting. Shorter cooldown as well. The DPS is fantastic. I can do like they'll come back to me. But the only thing that I do not like about that is that sometimes bosses move, and when you have elite pack here and there, then how many can you really crush, right? So I rather call the Crusher when I need to, when I see a pack. How does the rollout look like? You just charge up and become the ball yourself. Cute, huh? Yeah. So something like that, right? And after that, within a couple of seconds, you can do it again. So you can have like just a couple of buttons here. This could be like your main spender in some sense. No, just kidding. But yeah, it's entirely up to you. Okay, on to the signature is very simple now. Implosion, Explosion. 2 hits, same magnitude of it. It also restore the charge of invisible. So you have a lot of charges here and there that you can go invisible rather nice as well. And invisible also would have other buff as well. So that is one interesting thing that you could have in terms of the quantum compression. Use it. You can burst it 3 charges for 10 seconds. So it's rather easy to earn a charge. But I would say don't burn it too fast. You may want to reserve this to interrupt bosses, interrupt charges, interrupt like Dr. Doom want to punch the ground. Juggernaut want to charge you, Rhino want to charge you, and so on and so forth. You can interrupt them. Magneto, Steam of the Storm of Steel. You can interrupt them as well. All right. Invisibility. I love this a lot. It reset the cooldown of Resonating Wave, and Resonating Wave, as you will see later, has a pretty high DPS on its own. Especially if you want to augment it with this calculated resonance. Always crit. It's fantastic. This is a very high DPS that you could have, and every time that you go invisible, you can do this one. Every time you do a signature, you get a charge of invisible as well. You are a happy man because you can just keep invisible and keep popping this resonating wave itself. If you like to play a team role, a lot of you ask me, can I do a build for team play? Oh, I could as well. So you could use invisible comeback, 25-second cooldown. You can further down it to 20 seconds, I think, to make all the team around you invisible. So rather nice. You could actually, if you are in a cosmic high town or cosmic terminal, cosmic patrol or danger room, then you may want to like conceal your friends as well. That's really nice. Now, crushing force, I think I talked a little bit about it earlier on, so I'm not going to talk about it now. Force pillar is the one that you gain 20% damage from cascading force, crushing force. So you probably by now you know that, well, if you want to use the force pillar, you could actually couple that with the crushing force or cascading force, whichever it deems fit for you. Wall of force, I think, is rather niche kind of thing. You could use it every 6 seconds to block the pathing as well. Could be rather useful to solo though, because you can then keep the mobs away from you. But if I'm using a lot of invisible kind of thing, you probably would not need to worry too much about the wall itself. All right. Another option is the shield doom. So shield doom is the one that you could actually do a shield here. Okay, you have the channel. I forgot. So you could do a shield here. You could use a talent to augment. I'll show you in just a bit later. Augment to have this one as a doom. That is quite nice as well. I think in a group environment, I probably would not use a crusher. I will just use one of these things here, maybe. All right. So now these are some of the powers. I hope you are equipped with the knowledge which power to pick for your build, even if you don't entirely like my build, which is fine. My build is very relaxing, just invisible, keep pushing into the enemy field, not necessarily the highest DPS. Some like to play really high DPS. All right, I just like to steamroll things. So as to speak, steamroll here. Okay, looking at the power, the talent itself, there are 5 talents, three to pick from for each one of them. I do support the forum saying that we should have all this unlocked. You can just pick any of these, like 5 you want. Yeah, I think it's a great idea because I can't pick any of things here. But anyway, resonating wave, get crit all the time. I would love to have that. Or if you play with force pillar together with cascading force, you could use this to buff your force pillar. This becomes cooldown and your cascading force build. You would rely upon that. Because if you're using a cascading force and if you are not using the invisible build, then you can't really use the resonating wave that much, so you have to use the seeker op instead. Then you can use the force pillar as your layer. See, I take care of you guys who may not like my build entirely as well. All right, so that is all. Wall of Force will give you guard as well, so it's quite interesting niche build. All right, next one is Stay Off Sight, which she become. I don't know why she doesn't become invisible. I think it's a bug somewhere, or somehow the game still think that I'm in combat. How can it be? I'm out of combat for so long. I can go invisible, but it will come back in again. I can stealth. So this is good stuff because I can stealth. So it make my dash become a stealth kind of thing. Stealth is not the same as invisible. Just remember that some of the power that can only be buffed by invisible, like this one here, is not stealth. All right, or you can say invisibility automatically activate if fall below certain health. I guess if you are doing this, well, no, I don't think it's useful. But if in the event whereby you say, I don't charge a lot, I don't need to do stealth because I'm doing raid, then sometimes you get hit to 35%, at least there's some invisible to help you. Yeah, you could too, because if you're using a Seeker's Orb, then you probably would not use a lot of invisibility in your toolbar. Okay, now, if I'm in a group and I'm still using this build, I will pick this one instead. Because in a group, I probably would not need to go stealth that often, maybe in raid and so on. Then, every time when I use invisible, I can have plus 10% after it's stacked up, which is very, very nice. And also, of course, when I use Seeker Op as well. So things like this, you could actually up your DPS during raid, but I think in a solo environment, this one's still nice. Third tier, why am I not picking anything? Let's go through that. Seeker Op, blah blah blah. So when you use the Seeker Op, then when you use the crushing crushing wave style, force this or bouncing this, within 10 seconds, you can trigger another 2 additional orbs. So rather nice, you get a lot of orbs going around. So with this kind of talent, then your Seeker orb build become very relevant. Another one is that invisibility transform into apply barrier, so become like, I'll show you in just a bit, so become a bubble for you and the team. Could be a rather nice mechanic, like a bubble like that. The only thing I don't like is that because the name is being changed into apply barrier, and a lot of this power that, you know, they say whatever and whatever, it doesn't apply because the name doesn't change dynamically through the whole talent tree. It's very static. So if you change this one, you lose some of these other options as well. So I don't like it. Third one is that the Doom can be cast instantly without channeling. So you could do a Doom here, like, you know, like this one here, in a group environment, and that's it. You got a Doom, and it becomes awesome, unbreakable, right? So you can resist damage for 40%, which is nice. All right, so there's one option, but I don't use that, so why do I have that? So I don't have that. All right, last one, second last one, invisibility and Seeker Orb share the cooldown. Share the charges, extra 2 charges, and cooldown from 8 seconds down to 2 seconds. Very nice if you are using invisible build or Seeker build, whichever one would be nice. If not, then you can have crushing force, and bouncing disc that become, I think it's more for leveling. The third one is that your invisible comeback, which is this guy here for group play, become quickened, which, you know, increase attack speed, increase the movement speed, and also the so that is one option you could use as well. But I prefer more chances to go invisible. That will further buff my damage if I use this one, and further refresh my resonating wave, and further do more crit only resonating wave, right? So that's nice because I have this one to reset the invisible as well. It's very fun. Invisible build is fun. Once you get the hang of it, it may look a bit overwhelming. The last tier is the painful force. Your force this, bouncing this, and Seeker Orb increase 20%. So if you go for a Seeker Orb kind of build, then you would use this one. All right, or, you know, I talked about Crusher already, which none of these I really use, but I can say maybe if I'm using raid, then I'll use this one, right? If I go in for raid, but if I'm doing solo, I would like to call the Crusher when I need to impel all this like elite pack, especially in Cosmic Danger Room as well. It's a lot of elite pack, and I go a little bit slower as well, so the refresh time doesn't seem too bad as well. All right, so I hope you got the idea. Gear-wise perspective. And right now it's very hard to talk about gear. The Omega gear is not out, but if you are somewhere in the future, check out the description of the video. I may put something there. But all in all, just make sure your attribute is being aligned, durability and energy. So whatever artifacts you have, align with that if you can. You know, Infinity System, I don't know, it may change in the future. But you know, Energy Hero, you have to sacrifice that 4 to 5% crit in order to. You have to sacrifice the 6 attribute in order to gain the 4 to 5% crit chance. It's just one of those things. Fighting and energy is always a little bit tricky in this rather odd Infinity System design. Make sure you get enough crit. Make sure you get enough brutal as well, because the room they have make it higher, so you could actually gear for it without hitting the diminishing return too much. So those are a very nice window of opportunity for you to deal a lot more damage. Of course, in order to make the crit and brutal work, you must have crit damage rating. Brutal damage rating is a bit after all this kind of like a brutal nerf in some sense. May or may not be that important, but get the crit damage rating. All right, so that is the build itself. Onto some demo in terms of the Cosmic Terminal. In this part of the video, I'm going to head over to one of the terminals to show you how this build is going to work out. And I hope you got to get a chance to appreciate sometimes the kill time may not be the best, but then it's a lot of utility behind. It's quite rather comfortable when you face some of this boss fight and so on. So today's share quest is at the Kurse, so I'm sort of like going to drop over there. So now, in order to explain this build a little bit, you have to pay attention to when invisible woman go kind of invisible, which is like this one here. And I'm just going to go ahead and enjoy myself there. Invisible, I got like 4 charges here, 6 seconds cooldown. So every 6 seconds I get to use one of them. Rather nice though. 1, 2, 3, and then I can get invisible again. And And if I want to do a signature, I can do that too. That's rather nice, right? So that is the one that you see. And whenever you see the storm of fear sphere, that is when you sort of like, you know, I can make 2 of them. And anything that round, like, you know, has an orb to it, that is the suffocate. So you can kind of tell what's happening to this build, all these things. And I've got the seeker as well, the crusher as well. So that's rather nice to take care of some of these mobs have been running around. So that is nice, right? So I'm just moving forward there, and I think I don't really need to do all these things here. Suffocate a bit here and there, but suffocate follow the mob as well. So that's neat. So I'm just going to, you know what, I'm going to kill off all these things here. Sometimes it's, you know, when you see a big group of elites, so it's good to just burn out the signature. You have quite a number of charges to it. Pop the seeker whenever you need to, and that's it. Well, take care of the the one that spawned a lot. Okay, so this is the mini boss you take care of. So you can't really see, but I'm sort of like going invisible rather often here. Very, very relaxing. Just need to spam a few power, and that is it. That is about this build, right? And make sure you get some of this like med kit, because it's rather spirit intensive nowadays. After all these changes, then things become a little bit harder in terms of the spirit maintenance of it. But that's just part of the update, and I'm using pre 2.0 gear, so I'm not going to, like, you know, have a lot of wonderful kill time here. This is a cosmic terminal. It's known to be a little bit harder these days, a little bit overtuned, I think. But nonetheless, it's a good testing ground. So now the game is rather like going back to the beta. Then everybody's just having to test, including myself. Right, so this one is going to be like take a while, because there's quite a number of mobs around. Alright, so whenever you need to, just pop the invisible thingy and you're fine. Right, and that's about it. It's rather there's a high number of invisible kind of like charges for you to use. So normally, unless you are at the boss fight, you shouldn't have an issue, you know, running out of kind of like charges and so on. And by the way, for this build, it's very nice. Whenever you kind of like dash out, you go on stealth, so that is useful as well. Right, so this, I'm just working my way through. My team up is not doing anything. Team up. Okay, so now is, I think, the 3rd lieutenant, right? This is the last lieutenant before the boss fight. So I am going to pop some of this like signature as well. So you kind of know when to reapply the invisibility after a while, and the rest of it just like mashing cooldown to it. So it's rather effective. So you just need to watch out when to reapply the invisible kind of like a power, and that would kind of power up your main spender as well. Just remember that. Even when you are very comfortable, just remember go invisible once in a while, because that's important for you to pop the. Why am I not hitting? Yeah, that's rather important for you to buff your main spender. All right, so just working my way through again, and I'm almost there. Kurse. Now you see that now the thing go a little bit slower. The game wants us to slow down. I don't know if you are watching this in future what will happen when we have the Omega gear, but I suppose it'll be faster, much faster. Okay, so boss fight. I'm not going to. I'm just going to relax here. I'm going to pop the ultimate somewhere towards the end, just to give you a sense of how the ultimate works. But well, right now the tuning is not really that great, so I'm not going to use that as the to burn the boss anyway. So I'm just going to, you know, go into invisible, you know, quite often. After a while, you know, don't forget to go invisible. Yeah. Oops, that's what happened when you forgot to go invisible. You get charged. Yeah, invisible. And then whenever there's that pool kind of thing, you can save your invisible kind of thing, kind of power, charge, cooldown, and so on. And just go invisible when you need to. So I'm going to use the ultimate right now, because now it's towards the end of the fight. Just give you a little bit of sense of what happened when the ultimate pop up, and that goes something like that, right? So yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of excitement to it. Unlike some of the, I think some of the terminal are a lot harder, but this one is rather alright for solo. I don't really enjoy keep dying and not getting, kind of like going back in again to do it again and again. So I guess I hope you get to enjoy this this build. In closing, first of all, thank you very much for watching. I think in closing, there's a lot of utility for Invisible Woman to shine as an invisible kind of like build to it. And if you are not into mathematics, so you can drop off here. But if you like to take a look at the mathematics side of the spreadsheet, I'm going to bring you to the next stage of the video. Now that you've seen how she plays like in the cosmic terminal, let's take a look at the number itself, and you may want to pick something else depending on the some of this mathematics behind. So like I said before, the force disk itself, the basic power is not going to be high compared to, say, you are not even getting half of what the crushing wave style is getting. Well, you could augment it as well. Again, it's not going to give you the extra 20% damage is not going to carry you forward too much. So that's one thing. Cascading force would be, between cascading force and the crushing force, I think crushing force may well be a little bit better, but it kind of mobs at the center will get more hit by that. So in some sense, I think unless the tooltip is an error, I probably would pick the crushing force instead of cascading force, because it should affect by attack speed, but somehow the tooltips doesn't. Then you can see that the bouncing disc, even if you buff it by 20%, it's just doing very, very little damage compared to, say, the proper spender like the crushing wave style. Or, well, it's a little bit closer to the crushing force, but still, you could say that this one hit more, but then crushing force is also an area damage. You could also hit quite a number of it. It is a matter of style, I think, at the end. So if you are not playing the invisible build, then you may want to consider using the crushing force as your spender. All right, so that's one of the options. Suffocate is a decent layer. It's about 2 to 3 kind of like a it's about 2.5k DPS, which is rather alright as a layer. You can of course use a third tier force barrier to buff it as well. That's one option if that's so you wish to. Storm of Sphere is up to 2 area, invulnerable is blah blah blah. Hang on, yep. So what happened is that the DPS actually is a bit higher than this one. Of course, you can layer the two together. So so this is a nice layer. Good to have. I think even the talents would suggest that you should pick this as well. Seeker Ops is not really that great if you look at the number of time they get charged up. Once you use it, of course you can have how should I say? You can have it like a burst damage out there, depending on the number of charges you have. But still, it's all right. It's all right. Even with the other one, it gives you a 20%. Damage is alright. It's not that bad if you use it as a burst damage, but in a sustained manner, I'm looking at sustained manner when you have to gain the charges every so often, even 6 seconds and so. It's not that fantastic. At least that's not something I want. However, if you do a seeker, which is the if you pick one of these things, the so-called hang on, so you will pick the seeker cooldown by 2 seconds, so it's actually rather alright if you look at the so instead of 8 seconds, it's 6 seconds. So that one gives you 2.6. So it's rather alright if you use a seeker build as well. Then you can lose the invisibility and do a seeker instead. Alright, so that is an option for you. So it's good that you stay on, huh? So seeker is an option if you drop the invisibility. Then the crusher will be because they share the same charges between the invisibility and the seeker. All right, so the crusher is a rather decent DPS, like I said before, about 3k. But you could actually do a steam roll though. Steam roll is rather nice as well, forward and backward. So you can use it to gain quite a good DPS. Make sure that you come back and hit the mob again, so it's a 2 times 2 times, all right? Roll out is the one that you could transform into like an orb that go around, so that is pretty nice as well, all right? And the other one is that you could use the quantum compression. You know, the signature is 2.9K, so that is that's decent there as well. From the invisibility point of view, the resonating wave is 2.6K, but we go up to a bit higher as well, 4.5 when it become always crit. Crushing force with the force pillar buff. No, sorry, that is with the. Yep, that is with the force pillar buff. Also, well, it's not that fantastic, but it's there. Then you have force pillar as well, which rather low. But then if you use the second tier of the rising force, it become higher. But in reality, you need a 2% chance to proc. So it may or may not proc out. So it depends whether in the end something that I don't think it's worth it, because 2% proc, if you go twice per second hit, you know, that's I don't think it worked out too much. All right, so I hope you get the idea where things are, what you could use in the event whereby you say, well, I don't want to use an invisible build and drop the crushing wave style that I have, and you know, invisible. Then you can go the Seeker's Orb and, you know, maybe crushing force and something along that line. Or, you know, if you want to use crushing force as the layer, then you say, okay, I'll pick the next best thing, which is the cascading force. So in the end, then you would have cascading force, suffocate, storm of sphere, Seeker's Orbs, you know, the crusher may or may not have it, and the yeah, I mean, resonating wave is important, I think. Yeah, so I hope you get the idea of where things are. As always, feel free to drop a note here to ask questions and so on. You know, now the game become very flexible. You can do a lot of build maybe for yourself. I personally may end up still using the steamroll. Just the numbers actually not that bad to that end. All right, so that probably give me 5 talents out of 6. Okay, so if you like this kind of guide, by the way, just click the link below in the description of the video. I always put a lot of updates onto my website as well as in YouTube as well. Thank you very, very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.